looks like he's coming our way. Hopefully we can scare him away. Got the house to myself. Holy shit. Sarah's taking Ruby out. Well, she's got to go do a bunch of shit all day long. In the next city over, and she took the dog to go get her. I guess she's ready for shots or something. I don't know, whatever goes down there. So this place is quiet. I don't have a dog stuck to my ankles. Nobody's here. It's quiet. I get to be inside and do this. Get caught up in some other shit. And get some shit heard. Now, listen, I'm going to start this right off the bat of who I believe is worthy to listen to when it comes to hearing facts of important items that are going on the planet today. So, who's my next up that I feel very confident listening to? I don't listen to them all the time. These two men, you can look into them if you're interested, and look into their credentials, their careers, what they've done, who they are. They're very intelligent men, and I have respect for them, and I listen to them now and then to get caught up, stay fairly caught up with what's going on the other side of the planet, which does directly affect me and you. There's no way out of it. And they have some very good sources that they use. The time these guys put in must be freaking incredible to stay on top of everything the way they do. But anyways, it is the Duran. They have a channel on Rumble and YouTube. They both have individual channels, but it's the Duran, D-U-R-A-M, Alex Christoforou, C-R-I-S-T-O-F-O-R-O-U, and Alexander Mercouris. I don't know if I pronounced that right or not. M-E-R-C-O-U-R-I-S. So they both have channels, I believe, under their own personal names, but they both do a channel together called the Duran. That's the one I listen to mostly. And they have some very credible individuals on board, and they tell it like it is, and they have facts and they back it up. And I sincerely hope the majority of people listening to this channel have dumped mainstream news by now. Oh my God, please, please, please. If I could ever do anything in this lifetime, if I could, it would be to wage an absolute war on mainstream so-called news and eliminate it from everybody's eyes and have everyone listen to each other and the people for the true facts. That's what I would do, because it's come absolutely clear. Whoever controls the mainstream controls us, right? And the sad, sad fact. But anyways, we're slowly turning that around somewhat, right? It's a new year. It's a new year. What are you going to do with your time? What are you going to do with your year? What am I going to do? I guarantee you one thing. I'll guarantee you I'm running out of time. I'm running out of time. My time's coming up. But so is yours. Every single one of us, right? What am I going to do? I'm going to do what I've been doing previous. I'm going to make sure that I do what I absolutely love to do. And I'm going to make sure I do it even more this year. And at the same time, I'm going to make sure that I help people and make a difference as much as I can. That's pretty simple, right? But that's my plans. And if you guys have any plans and you want to share them, what are your plans? What are you going to do with your time? Maybe put it down in the comment section below. What are you going to do with your time? Because I'll guarantee you, every single one of you is running out of time. You're running out of time. Running out of time. What are you going to do with it? Now, let's get some voices heard. All right. This is Red. Listen to this. Multiple witnesses that need to come forward from Eagle Mountain, Utah. Hi, Steve. I sent this encounter to only your tellmystoryhowtohunt.com account on March 8, 2021, and I've been listening for it to be read since then. It may have gotten moved in those folders you were talking about. After hearing you read the account on January 2nd, 2023 from the retired police officer driving south of Lake Tahoe, where his four-legged road crosser went up an 80-foot granite cliff, and a red 4x4 Dodge truck in front of him and an oncoming car stopped and were pointing up at it, I decided to resend my account to have you encourage the many people that saw this encounter I saw to come forward. The original email I sent you follows below with some updates to the description that should have been in the original send. Your silhouette encounter when you were a teenager is what caused me to go ahead and write to you about mine. This encounter was witnessed by many, but none, evidently, to my knowledge, have had the courage to report it. I hope that changes and some of them come forward if you get the chance to read this. I've been waiting many years in hopes that the drivers and passengers of the cars stopped in front of me in my lane and stopped in the opposing lane in front of the creature would submit their own reports, since they observed it a lot longer than I did. Since my sighting was so brief, I didn't feel it was really worthy to report. I kept checking the BFR. I can't stand saying that one site over the years, just waiting for at least one of the many witnesses of this incident to report it. But it has been too many years and I need to finally report this. Keep in mind, that place has kept shit piles of reports and the voices of people suppressed the whole time, all right? Kick them to the curb. Opportunistic. Yeah, okay, I'll bite my lip. This sighting is my only visual sighting that I have had. I've submitted 2 previous audio incidents to the loser website, both involving my son and I. One in Arizona in September 2000 and the other in the Winter Mountains in Utah, July 2006. My wife had a night of terror while I slept through it, involving a ranger station in the Ashley National Forest in Utah that happened July 24, 2013, and was investigated by the ding-dongs at that website, who was based out of Idaho at the time. He had his own rock-throwing and whistling encounter at the same ranger station a few weeks later. Our report had been on the site for a while, then disappeared, possibly because it happened on national forest land and /or because my wife reported infrasound during the encounter. But that is only speculation on my part. Excuse me. My particular incident happened around November 2009, and I had to verify that since it had been so many years by using Google Earth's historical imagery time slider feature. I live in Eagle Mountain, Utah, and it was a relatively new community at the time. Back then, it's still advertised the lowest home prices in Utah County as a draw to bring people in. There are only 2 ways to get into that community from the east, and still are. But now one of the roads is straightened, Pony Express Parkway, and both are now widened, SR 73/West Cedar Fort Road. It was late fall 2009, and because of the daylight savings time changed, it was getting dark earlier and almost full dark by the time I was driving home from work around 6:30. The Pony Express Parkway extension from Redwood Road west to the Fairfield Road cut-in happened in 2010, so the back road entrance to Eagle Mountain was Fairfield Road, and that road wasn't even paved until 2006. Coming home from work, I had to turn right on 400 North after heading south on Redwood Road. 400 North, then hit Foothill Boulevard going south, and then turned into Fairfield Road going west with curves. Approaching the last curve before it straightened into Pony Express Parkway, I noticed several cars stopped on the road ahead of me, which is very dangerous because of the speeds we use through there. Looking beyond the stopped cars in my lane, I noticed further on that the cars in the oncoming lane were also stopped. A couple of car lengths in front of the first stopped vehicle in my lane, leaving a gap between the 2 lines of cars. Having worked all day and being tired and wanting to get home, I couldn't understand what was causing this pileup and didn't really care. I just wanted people to get through it. I was driving my gray Mitsubishi Eclipse, and I knew I could shoot that gap between the opposing line of cars, so, muttering under my breath, I hit the gas and worked the manual transmission. As I swung into the opposing lane looking for oncoming traffic, I noticed something on the hill on the right that was much more than the cedar trees that only grew on this little rise called Cedar Pass. Something was silhouetted, flat black against the dark purple of the darkening sky. In that instant, My mind was racing to identify what I was looking at and trying to make sense out of it. What my eyes were seeing was a huge black mass, bracket at least 10 feet tall from my perspective, and bracket, that was barely taller than it was wide, and two glowing red reflector-like circles high up on it. Other than those two reflecting circles, the rest of it was a featureless expanse of flat black, like somebody had taken scissors and cut out a huge, outsized, man-shaped hole against the sky. On anything with depth, you'd expect to see something that would show curvature if it was a three-dimensional object. But what my eyes were seeing was almost like an absence of light on the figure. None of the headlights of the cars were on it because it was on the little hill above us and slightly back from the road. Only the, quote, reflectors, end quote, were showing that some light was hitting it, or at least I hoped it was reflective. It freaks me out to even consider they might be self-luminous, end quote. They're probably self-luminous by the sounds of shit going on. My mind came up with a most incongruous explanation for what I was seeing, and so I mentally cursed the fool that stuck up a Bigfoot-shaped billboard with red bicycle reflectors for eyes, right on the hillside to cause a traffic jam just when I'm trying to get home from work. That image seared into my brain as I shot the gap between the cars and drove almost underneath the billboard and drove home. I really can't blame anybody for trying to convince someone they didn't see what they saw, because my own brain was fighting with itself to convince me that my own eyes weren't seeing what they were definitely seeing, which was the largest living creature that I've ever seen outside of a zoo. So, now you see why it has taken me so long to report it and why I wanted to have someone else report it first. My view was so brief I couldn't tell if it was moving or not in that split second, which helped cement it as a, quote, billboard, end quote, in my mind, to rationalize it, and not something living, since my mind refused to grasp something that large as alive in our semi-arid climate. The next morning I drove past that spot. Nothing was there. I was late for work, so I didn't stop the car to go check for footprints among the cedar trees, and I'm not sure I would have really wanted to. In the intervening years, Fairfield Road at that juncture was cut off and abandoned as the Pony Express Parkway extension made traveling into and out of Eagle Mountain easier. The hill is still there, but a developer bought the surrounding acreage and groomed off the cedar trees that this thing came out of in order to prep the ground to put in future new neighborhoods. At the time of this second send to you, there is now somebody's backyard where this thing had been standing. For those of you that I passed as I gunned through the gap between you, no, you weren't imagining things, and it is about time now to please put more detail than what I saw in to your own report. It is my hope that you stayed there long enough for it to have walked in front of you as it went to the other side of the road through that gap that you created for it, that I so recklessly drove through. Thank you, Steve, for what you're doing. William. All right, William, there you go. We got it. We got it read, man. Thank God, huh? And we'll see what happens. If somebody was there and they're here now watching and they're going to share, chances are pretty good. And that reminds me, too, I remember one time years ago, I was probably a teenager, and I think it was, I forget which, I think it might have been called News Hour or something in Vancouver, British Columbia, where local news is belted out, and they had the news crew was on the side of the Sea to Sky Highway, and it was just above Brome Lake on the right side of the highway, rock slides on the right. Everybody's who's from around that area above Squamish, BC, knows where I'm talking. And they had the news crew on the side of the road, and there was a shit pile of people who did the same thing. They stopped their vehicles and watched this huge, tall, hairy Bigfoot, they referred to it then, go ripping across the highway and straight up that rock slide slope, and ripped up there in front of traffic, and everybody pulled over and watched this thing go up. And it'd be funny too, maybe I'll throw out a mention out there to maybe possibly if you are watching this channel and you're one of those people years ago in one of those cars, I'd love to hear from you. I would love to hear directly from one of those people instead of the reporter standing on the side of the road. And there you go. Another club member. Welcome to the club, man. Sorry it took so long to get to you, but that's just the way it is now, right? There's so many freaking people. Now, got a reply from an email, from a video. This title, requested info for my story, read January 1st, 2023 at 4600. Hey Steve, first of all, thanks for reading my story, and I don't think in any way that I'm worried about what people see or hear in my encounter. The reason I share it, and everyone before me has, is to help us learn, be aware, and to file these sounds and images away for possible use another day. Just a couple clarifications from my stories you read at the 46 minute, I guess, 1.05 minute mark about the green water maple tree. The term green in this area where I was raised is how you describe a healthy living tree with no signs of rot or deadness. So what it meant for everyone to understand was that I could only see the first 6 feet or so from the ground to the lowest branches, which were budding leaves. And that's when the extremely loud cracking and breaking happened. I snapped my head around and looked that way and saw this roughly 40-foot tall, fully alive with leaf buds, water maple tree hit the ground about 75 feet away at 7 o'clock. The tree's trunk size at the broken part was slightly larger than a 1-gallon plastic bleach container. I'm sorry about the photos, and yes, I've been trying to get my buddy out there to take some perspective photos with one of us in the root ball, but he's been working 6 days a week and has a baby to spend time with, but I will get them to you. Okay, man, right on. Sounds good. In the video, the second photo of mine you shared blacked out. I'm assuming the one where I highlighted an outline of the face. I figured a copy/paste error in editing, no big deal, but several people commented and wanted to see it. If anyone at the round table in our community has a photo enhancement software, I'd be glad to send them a digital copy and maybe get a better look. But myself and the 4 people I showed it to before writing to you said, excuse me, there's a face right there looking at you. Without any prior knowledge what the photo was until I zoomed in. Several comments stated the coon hound was just an ordinary dog trailing something, or a possible dog man? I don't know what the hell it was. What I do know is I'm on the water, in the water, or around it about 100 times a year and completely understand how sound travels across water. In the video, when you first start hearing it, it was roughly 500 yards away, and the spot of shoreline the camera was pointing at during the video is plus or minus 150 yards across from us. So, through roughly 400 yards of thick hardwoods and pine forest, it covered 500 yards of ground in 10 to 12 seconds and bellowed every 2 to 4 seconds. And those sounds, well, we felt them. Oh, that's some interesting detail. Dog or not? I don't know. But if I see a coon dog with wings and has the lungs of an elephant down there, I'll let you know. Don't just hear things, listen to everything. Thanks again, Dave, USMC. Dave, thank you, man. Thank you very much for that follow-up. And hopefully, by the time I've done this, I remember to go back and find the photos that I obviously screwed up on. All right, man? Appreciate you. Appreciate your time. All right, here's another one. It's titled It Just Vanished. Hey, Stevie, you can always use my name. I don't care what people think, because that's their problem. But they better be respectful, because if they don't, I'll go red very quick. My name is Ed Barber. I've wrote in before. Told you my story about sounds in Mena, Arkansas. That's M-E-N-A. Whistles, hoots, chatter, talking. I'm 64, but been disabled since 50. Love to hunt and be in wilderness. I can't walk now, but so miss the outdoors. I have another encounter with the beings of the woods. Past Sunday morning, December 11th, 2023, December 11th, that'll be 2022. My wife and I were headed to worship services. 10 minutes into the drive, I smoked, so I was thumping ashes at the window and saw a gray flash. I looked quickly back. My wife said, "Did you see this, or was that a figment of my imagination?" I said, if it was a figment of mine too. Steve, it was large, and I mean large, the size of a full-grown bull buffalo, 1,500 to 2,000 pounds. It ran up to the barbed wire fence on all fours. Its head and back was from a foot to 2 feet taller than the top strand of wire. Now, the strange crap, it didn't jump fence. It didn't run through the fence. It just disappeared. It was really clear at first, then kind of foggy. Now, we were 50 yards at first sighting and moving at 55. We had to gain some in those 2 to 3 seconds. No way I could see it clearly. Sorry, no way I couldn't see it clearly. It was a clear, sunny day. We couldn't see it anywhere in an open pasture it was headed to. After looking for about 5 minutes, we decided to go on our way, and when coming back home, we would look up close and personal. Well, we got back to where it had ran across the road after worship services, and I walked up to the fence. It's a 6-strand fence. Now, I'm 6 foot tall, and the top wire was above my shoulder, so that makes 5.5 foot to the top wire. This thing was 1 to 2 feet on all fours, taller than the fence. You can figure height for yourself. Now, description on top of it being as big as a bull buffalo. Its hair was gray and brown, slick in texture, all but around its neck. It had a mane, kind of like a lion, all grayish long, about 6 or 10 inches long. I walked up and down the fence, had a lot of grass on the highway side of the fence, but across the fence it has weeds and not real thick, but could see tracks if anything had landed across the fence, especially at the weight range this thing had. I hope this is a fairly clear statement what we saw. We never saw or remember from your contacts of seeing one with a kind of like lion mane. One man I know said he saw one like that, but he knew by its nose it was a dog man. Also, he said it wanted him dead. He said while being charged at, he shot it 5 times with a 30-06, hitting it, and saw blood flying, and it didn't even slow down. He said, if not for his 3 other friends running up and starting to shoot at it, he'd be dead. He also said that when 3 friends started shooting at it, the thing just disappeared. Go figure that. That's pretty crazy. Well, stay safe. I know I have a lot to chew on with what my wife and I saw. May God bless you and your family. Ed Barber, Northeast Arkansas. Just one old man and country redneck. I have no reason to make crap up. So I say what you always say. Believe what you will. Take from it what you will. God bless from my family to yours. Merry Christmas. And email. Merry Christmas to you, and God bless you and your family too, man. And thanks for sending it, Ed. Like you said, take from it what you will or leave it. But you know what? I wonder if any of your friends thought about going and checking out the blood drops in the ground after that thing disappeared. It's a tough thing to talk about, right? Something disappearing like that. I couldn't imagine not being familiar with some of this weird shit going on, seeing something disappear in front of me, and then what are you going to do? Then what are you going to do? Who are you going to go talk to and tell, right? Yeah. But when you've got thousands of people seeing similar things going on, well, it's time to talk about it, whether you like it or not, right? It's time to talk about it. Now, what else do we got? Excuse me. All right, Mark, this is red. Speaking of fencing, I'm going to do some fencing after I get this done. I'm 63. My experiences would start as a child of around 3 years of age, but would continue for many. How many times have we heard this? When I was a little girl growing up in West Auburn, Maine, we had a horse farm and 60 acres of woods behind our 4 pastures. We lived in the country. I was born in '59, and in my younger years was visited often by what I thought was a nightmare. A gorilla in my window, and I would start screaming. I was so scared. My bedroom was on the 2nd story, and his face took up the whole window. For many years, I thought I was dreaming. I had that dream a lot. My mother would find me standing in front of the window screaming, and I think I had a nightmare, until in recent years when I read that Sasquatch liked to look in people's windows, and it was then I realized I was not dreaming. They had approached me in my younger years. I spent a lot of time in our woods riding my horse, cross-country skiing, or just on long walks and digging for old bottles. We had 2 ponds and a flowing stream about 15 or 20 feet or so wide that separated our property from the local ski area. While back there were a lot of eerie silences at times. I remember noticing that it was so quiet, like time stood still. At a different time was in 1979. I had some friends that lived in Sebago Lake, Sebago Lake in Maine. They lived in a cabin in the middle of the woods on a long hilly road only traveled by its residents, so you could go up and down it and not expect to see any other cars. I was driving up there one night. It was curvy, and I was coming around the last bend in the road, and there on the side of the road was an at least 8 to 10 foot tall, huge Sasquatch. He was massive and had to be 4 feet across, shoulder to shoulder. He was a brownish blonde color, heavy brow, high cheekbones. Skin was dark and looked sort of bearded, and kind of like he had bangs. Big head. He looked both ape-like and human. Like in that he was on 2 legs. Fur looked thick, and I guess about 3 to 4 inches long all over. He just stood there, motionless, looking at me. I was pretty freaked out when my headlights were on him. We made eye contact, and he was not 10 feet from me. I just sped up and flew to my friend's driveway, ran in saying I just saw a huge Bigfoot. Third encounter, mad Sasquatch, happened in North Graham, Maine. We had a pig roast up on our hill at our cabin, which was very rustic. Plastic on the windows, rope handle on the door, a metal ladder going to the second floor, which is our bedroom. I had a friend visiting from Colorado, and my boyfriend and his friends went out on the snowmobiles. We were hanging out inside the cabin, and we started hearing these guttural growls, like no noise I had ever heard before or since. It got louder and louder, and then it started making these kinds of screams, and the cabin began to shake. And we could see claws coming through the plastic on the windows. I ran towards the door and put the broom handle through the loop in the door, and as I did, something was pulling and shaking the door on the other side. Every time we changed our position in the cabin, that side would be attacked. We were crazy scared. There's no punctuation, okay, guys? We were crazy scared out of our minds. My boyfriend had a gun and bullets, and I, who had never seen one before, suddenly and instinctively knew how to load it, but neither I or the friend, being male, were going to step foot outdoors. We climbed the ladder, and whatever that screeching thing was landed on the roof above us. The screams were the scariest thing you have ever heard, impossible to repeat. And just as we thought we're going to die, we could hear the snowmobiles coming back, and whatever that thing was ran off. We told the guys what just happened, and they went out to look for tracks. They thought we were crazy until they saw the claw marks on the windows. I moved out to Colorado and spoke to a gal out there, my experiences, and she told me she had a telepathic experience through the window with a Sasquatch. She's going up her stairs, and there on the landing between the stairs was a Sasquatch in her window. It said he wants to communicate with people, but because of our size and scary appearance, they run a shoot at us. It conveyed that they were once dinosaurs and other animals that have gone extinct, and they are here to warn us of what's to come. They had to look enough like us, but also be of a prehistoric man with its survival instincts. I put those experiences out of my mind, buried them until I saw people speaking of their experiences on YouTube, and that other people actually saw what I did, and it all came back to me. Most of the pictures people have taken really don't look like the ones I saw, except one that gave me an instant flashback. But lately there are pictures surfacing that do look like the ones I've seen. Internet has changed everything in the Bigfoot world. Being able to reach out and share your experience, strength, and hope is so important. You tell a therapist that you saw a Bigfoot and you'll shuffle through the rest of your life. You tell us we are here for you. I never told my family, and my mom just thought I was having a nightmare because it had left the window when my mom found me screaming in front of it. Then on August 25th, 2019, on a random stop off a highway, as nature called, I found a spot. There was a large grassy area and a knoll and about a 15-foot opening to the woods on I-95. I ran in first, and there in front of me were bones, rib cages everywhere, and many cross structures. I squatted down and I felt I was being watched. When I was done, I ran to get my camera, and my other family member ran in. She also flipped out at all the bones everywhere. She also went back to the car, and I went back and took pictures beyond the structures where a family of them mostly obscured. Let me read that sentence one more time. She also went back to the car, and I went back and took pictures beyond the structures, no comma, where were a family of them mostly obscured. The two had been within 10 feet of me. It was very eerie. So weird they were there in that random spot. Now in MA, they used to scratch at my windows at night. I tried to ignore them. Hindsight, I've had weird occurrences where walking in the woods with my golden retriever, and all of a sudden, all these deer came running at us and past us. I kept looking to see what was chasing them. Nothing we could see. What's happening in the world is unbelievable. Pure evil. They're actually doing experimentation on people and animals, mixing two, killing lots, there's punctuation. Killing, lots of killing going on. Watch the TED Talk 2015. BG talks about this virus he is making and will release in the public in 2019. And if that doesn't take enough people out, then the jab will. Those who were conned into it are now dropping dead and have very advanced cancers, blood clots, heart attacks, complete organ failure, you name it. God bless Steve. Keep your head on a swivel. And check out this link. Okay, thanks for that email. You took pictures and one was 10 feet from you. Well, you know the drill. It doesn't matter who you are, what you've seen. If you come here and share that you took pictures of beings and don't include the pictures, the comment section is going to go off, right? Well, where's the effing pictures then? That's probably what they're going to be saying. So, if you got some pictures of these beings from 10 feet away and you just shared that you do, doesn't matter to me, but you may want to possibly send them in for the people because they're going to want to see it, right? And I do agree there's a lot of crazy shit going on the planet. There just is, and there's no way of avoiding it. I don't even think sticking your head in a hole in the sand is going to keep these truths and facts away from you for too much longer, right? If you're trying to avoid it. But there is some crazy shit going on. In our face, nonstop. It's amazing. It's amazing the reactions that most of the population is having. As long as people keep talking, right? As long as people keep talking. All right. I don't know how long I've been sitting here, but I'm starting to feel like I should probably go do some fencing. But let's read this. This is titled Dying and Thanks. Ooh. Hey, Steve, just want to say thanks for everything you do for the people. You were talking about your close call with death, and you were excited about it. That gave me a new view on it. My mother is doing doctor-assisted suicide on January 31st of this year, and I was having a hard time with it. But you said helped. My mother's good with it, and so am I. Plus, she's given her body to science. The only thing I'm having a hard time with is being there when she goes. I don't know how I'm going to do it. It's tough talking to her now, but I just wanted to say a thank you for what you and... For what? Sorry, let me read that one more time. But just wanted to say thank you for what you and your... You're missing a comma. It's screwing me up, and there's too many U's in a row. One more time. Just want to say thank you for what you and you help more people than you think. Say that 10 times in a row. Good luck with the well and your hats. I want one. But I have too many, my wife says. I'll order one next week. Cheers. And David's last post was awesome about the DNA. So I sent it to my cousin's daughter. She is a geneticist. So I want her take on this. All right, man. That's some unfortunate news. I'm sure the two of you are going to get through it just fine. I'm no expert, okay, you guys. But it's very unfortunate that that is happening. I don't even know what to say. I'm glad some things I share on here may have possibly helped you and your mom. Anything I do on here is just meant to help people, no matter what the topic is, right? So death's a funny thing. We're all doing it. We're all running out of time. It's not a rude thing to say. I am running out of time, and I feel it every single moment I'm awake. I have a weird feeling that I'm running out of time, which is probably a good thing, so it's making me accomplish a lot of shit. And I can't stand wasting a minute, so. But anyways, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I haven't been where you are right now. I haven't been in that position, so all I can do is, I guess, offer up prayers and good thoughts and hope that everything goes painless, peaceful. It brings an end to the pain your mother's experiencing, obviously, and that you'll probably be hanging out again later on. With that word, I am about 99.9% certain that this, no, I'm 100% certain this isn't it. But I'm about 99.9% certain that the souls who we have touched and touched our souls will be together again after this ride. I am quite certain of it. That's just me, though. Take from what you will or leave it. Everybody has their different take on things in life. Anyway, thanks for that email. Thanks for that email. Well, should I get another one out? I don't even know how long I've been here. Let's do one more, all right? This has quite the photograph. Mark, this is red. This is titled Quick Encounter. Steve, this is a quick note to you and the gentleman whose email you read on January 2nd, 2023. In remote Alaska, I've seen two creatures run past me at a speed that was very fast. I never actually saw the creatures, only heard the run, heavy steps, and saw the damage they did in the forest right next to me. I walked toward my truck, and my ears had a pressure like scuba diving. On the way down, I couldn't hear anything. A 100-foot, probably meant at 100 feet down the road, when I could see my truck, I could hear again. I've heard a lot of screaming and laughing in that area at night. I can't stay there all night, and I know my native friends can't either. I've tried. I found this print in the area. It's a little bigger than a size 10 work boot. I had to play with the photo to get it to show up better. It was a dark rainforest area. Take care, and as always, thank you for what you do, Joe in Alaska. That's quite the print, Joe. You know what? For me, at first glance, that looks like a bear print to me. But I wasn't there, and it's tough to take a photo. But to be straight up honest, that print looks like a bear print to me. Possible bear print, possible other print, because their back feet normally will step on top of the tail end of their front pad, and it'll wash out the heel. But I wasn't there, and I didn't see any other prints. But I absolutely believe that what you heard and saw is authentic, because it's been reported way too many times. And Alaska's freaking choked with it, with experiences and sightings, right? Alaska's got a lot of weird shit going on there. So does northern BC, north central BC, the Yukon, the Northwest Territories, all the other southern states. But anyway, I'll post it up. I'll turn it around at different angles so we can look at it at a different angle maybe. But anyway, thanks for sending that in. And if you have any more experience or knowledge from those areas from your friends or yourself, send it in to me, all right? If you think it's going to help somebody, send it in. Okay, man? Be safe out there. Sounds like it's a creepy freaking zone. Anyway, okay, I got to get going. I got to get caught up in my shit. It was bad being able to sit here where there's heat and do this. Peace and quiet. Have a good year out there, and make sure you guys write down, maybe if you can, throw down a comment in the comment section below and let everybody know what you're planning on doing with your time this year, because you are running out. Everybody's running out of time. So let's hear what you're gonna plan on. What do you plan on doing with your time that you have left? I want to read about it myself. All right. Anyway, Happy New Year. I'll be back.